We're going to talk about Afghanistan and how everything that's happened since the US withdrawal has proven beyond any reasonable doubt that the narrative of the US spreading democracy and helping Afghans was bullshit from the very beginning. Because as soon as the change in government happened, the Taliban took over, the US sanctioned the fuck out of Afghanistan. Every country that had been helping keep Afghanistan afloat with aid and stuff just withdrew and immediately created a fucking massive humanitarian crisis. So before the Taliban takeover, Afghanistan was pretty much totally reliant on foreign aid. As soon as the Taliban take over, it's like, oh, we're going to withdraw all the foreign aid. I wonder if this will go badly or not. Because obviously, you withdraw the foreign aid in a country that is dependent on foreign aid. They knew what's going to happen before they did it, right? They knew exactly what they were fucking doing with that. You get rid of the foreign aid, and suddenly the new government has none of the advantages that the old government had, and they're pretty much destined to fail. They have to turn a ruined country into being self-sufficient overnight. They can't fucking do that. Obviously, no one could. Taliban or an actual good government, no one could do that. And then there's the sanctions from the US as well. And here's an Intercept article about those. They claim to care about the Afghan people, but the second that there's no puppet government in Afghanistan, they do everything they possibly can to try to make Afghans suffer. It's disgusting. So this is an article from The Intercept about the silence, or worse, of human rights hawks, exactly the people who I'm talking about, like Zanderhal, for example, on US sanctions against Afghanistan. When opposing the withdrawal from Afghanistan, DC hawks crowed about human rights, with US sanctions causing starvation, literal starvation, by the way, that is true, not so much. Months after the US-backed Afghan government fell to the Taliban, ordinary Afghans now face what could be their direst winter in decades. Thanks to the economic collapse that accompanied the US military withdrawal, coupled with the imposition of sanctions and the cessation of much humanitarian aid, millions of Afghans must now contend with the very real prospect of starvation. Some will die, many will lose their lives to preventable deaths. This is because pretty much everything that was being done to keep Afghanistan afloat before was taken away. The second that the government in power is a government they don't like, using human lives as weapons essentially against their government. That is disgusting. Both through sanctions and through withdrawing the humanitarian aid. That is fucking gross. The World Health Organization has already warned that up to 1 million Afghan children may die as a result of malnutrition over this winter if drastic steps are not taken. US sanctions policy is directly to blame, pushing Afghans over the edge as they already struggle to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic and the political upheaval caused by the collapse of the central government. Paul Spiegel, the director of the Center for Humanitarian Health at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. By the way, why is Johns Hopkins plural instead of John Hopkins? Did that guy have two last names? What a fucking weirdo. He wrote in this December, after returning from a trip to Afghanistan on behalf of the World Health Organization, I can clearly state that if the United States and other Western governments do not change their Afghanistan sanction policies, more Afghans will die from sanctions and at the hands of the Taliban. That's obviously self-evidently true. That's probably already happened.
Communism is based.
Unbelievable shit, man. They don't give a shit about Afghans. They don't give a shit about any of the shit they claim to. They don't give a shit about human rights. Just fucking look at this. If you see this sort of shit happening and you still think, yeah, they care about human rights, you're just a fucking American nationalist psychopath or something, man. Nothing will ever convince you. The deaths would be brought about as a result of deliberate policy decisions made in the US. Alongside new sanctions imposed after the Taliban takeover, the US froze nearly $10 billion of Afghanistan's central bank holdings. $10 billion fucking dollars that they could use to fucking buy shit and feed people. Sure, even if they're a fucking bad, corrupt government, they might steal some of that. But if even fucking 10% of that was actually used on real stuff, that would save people. That would feed people. That would stimulate the economy. The argument of, oh, they're corrupt, they just steal the money, doesn't make any sense anyway, because it's self-evident looking at any government in the world, even the corrupt ones, that at least some of that money trickles down, so to speak. So it's still better for a corrupt government to have more money for the people than it is for it just to not have more money. It's very simple. And yeah, the US-backed government was also incredibly fucking corrupt, provably corrupt. The US admitted it, but now we're worried about corruption. Give me a break. Yeah, this is a good article. You should read it if you want a more detailed breakdown. I just wanted to bring attention to this and talk about it because they're just sanctioning the Taliban, weaponizing the welfare of human beings who just happen to be under their rule against the new government. It's absurd bullshit. The US does this all the time.